But that's not the end of the story with Jacob and Esau. Years later, we see Jacob is married and he has children, but he hasn't spoken to Esau since the day that he ran away, since the day that he fled. And now he finds himself on the way to Esau's city. Now, knowing that Esau has every reason in the world to hate him and even want to kill him, Jacob then sends messengers and gifts and all these things with the hopes of showing Esau that he's sorry, but all while expecting a horrible outcome to happen. So we pick back up and we look at Genesis chapter 33, looking at verse 4 through 12. And it says, "But Esau ran to meet him and embraced him and fell on his neck and kissed him, and they wept. And when Esau lifted up his eyes and saw the women and children, he said, 'Who are these among you?' Jacob said, 'The children whom God has graciously given your servant.' Then the servants drew near, they and their children, and bowed down. Leah likewise and her children drew near and bowed down. And at last Joseph and Rachel drew near, and they bowed down. Esau said, 'What do you mean by all this company that I met?' Jacob answered, 'To find favor in the sight of my Lord.' But Esau said, 'I have enough, my brother. Keep what you have for yourself.' Jacob said, 'No, please. If I have found favor in your sight, then accept my present from my hand. For I have seen your face, which is like seeing the face of God, and you have accepted me. Please accept my blessing that is brought to you, because God has dealt graciously with me, and because I have enough.' Thus he urged him, and he took it." When conflict happens, we find ourselves too stubborn and too angry and ashamed or afraid to have tough conversations and to deal with our problems. We kind of tend to just shell up and just kind of try to hide it. After years of silence, after years of not speaking, Esau very possibly could have hated Jacob and wanted him dead, could have wanted to just destroy him and held on to that and let that resentment and that hate build to the point when they met again, he would just explode. But the amazing thing about it is Esau did not let the years of separation from his brother build in his heart hatred and anger. Instead, Esau wanted to have a relationship with Jacob again. And so that's why we see when Jacob presents the gifts and the offerings and he shows back up, instead of embracing him with a punch to the face, Esau embraces him with a hug and welcomes him. It makes sense that Jacob was afraid to meet Esau. He was probably ashamed of what he had done. He probably felt like he wasn't worthy to see him. But he was also afraid of how Esau might retaliate. He could have screamed at Jacob. He could have attacked him. He could have killed him. That would have been understandable. Nobody would have questioned that because of the way that Jacob deceived him. Jacob stole so much from Esau, and he never made it right. But against all odds, Jacob shows up. And Esau shows up. And instead of killing him, he welcomes him with open arms, ready to have a tough conversation. Esau's willingness to have a conversation with Jacob, even after what Jacob did to him, is pretty amazing. And it was absolutely essential to the relationship. You see, students, the only way that you can heal conflict, the only way that you can make things right, is if you talk through those things. You can't ignore them. You can't just let it be. You can't just have the mindset of just let it go. You have to have those tough conversations with those who are in your family. Just like Esau and Jacob, this was a long coming conversation. This was waiting to happen for a long time, and nobody really knew what the outcome was going to be like. And instead of it turning south and it being a horrible event, it turned out to be a great story of redemption. And that's what God is wanting to do in you and your family. He's wanting you to have tough conversations with your family, with your friends, in order to grow and get to the point where you accept one another and you love one another. I couldn't imagine somebody taking something from me, taking my birthright, taking my inheritance, taking everything that was rightfully mine. And then the first time that I meet them after years and years and years, all I wanted to do was hug them. But the truth is, Esau's heart was ready for that conversation. And Jacob was welcomed. Jacob was loved and hugged and embraced. Not because he made things right, but because they were willing to have that tough conversation and because they realized the focus wasn't on them in the first place.